Thank you. It's a pleasure to see everyone again. As you all know, we try our best to bring our customers every single time we try to bring a new customer to the stage and talk about their journey, because it's more important for you to learn from our customers rather than us as to how they're benefiting from our solution. So it's my great pleasure to introduce Guru. He's VP of Network Engineering, Architecture, and Operations, also security. So it's at S&P Global. So it's a great pleasure to have Guru on the stage. They have been using our solution, have been working with us over a year now, and I would like Guru to take us through a little bit of what S&P Global is and what are the problem statements that they had, because of which they chose Alkira. And then we'll talk a little bit about the other benefits of the Alkira solution with them. You give us.
Yeah, the mic on. Can everybody hear me? Yep. Thanks, everybody. It's always the privilege and honor to come back to the ONUG session, and what ONUG does to the networking community is such a great job, and bringing this community together and having this experience, all the great products out there, and also having an opportunity to share what we are doing. And it's such a great work. And it's again a privilege and honor to share stage with you. I'm sure everybody knows. I mean, there's nobody in the networking industry will be there without knowing SD-WAN machine. It's an industry veteran, and it's a great opportunity again. When we decided to do this session, one of the key thing, how do we explain this complex story in such a simple way? Because networking industry has such a long legacy, and over time the legacy has moved into the cloud world, and what's happening within the cloud world of the networking is so complicated. And we said the work that S&P Global has done in partnership with Alkira over the last 1.5 years is about building an exchange that we have full control over it, and we are maintaining it. So we just we all are in the networking industry used to the terminologies of Verizon exchange, AT&T's as an exchange. We all have used exchanges from TDM world. We had this PSTN exchanges. Then came the IP world. We had this service provider as an exchange. But what's happening in the multi-cloud world is, how do we make sure when you are leading into this multi-cloud environment, you have different clouds, different on-prems to deal with? Where is your networking going? And how is your perimeter growing invariably, and how do you create your exchange? So the theme of this topic is going to be around how S&P Global built its own enterprise exchange, where all the multi-cloud providers, all the third parties, our customers, our partners, and everybody can come in, and the fabric of the network that we have built allows everybody to securely, seamlessly collaborate and communicate, so on and so forth. And that's how we came up with this ideation journey, and as I said, it's an important story to share with all of you and continue to evolve there. With that said, who we are, what we do. S&P Global is a leading provider of independent ratings, benchmark analytics to capital and commodity markets. But it's not so simple to do this, right? To do this, we have about 37,000 employees working in 80 different offices. We have about 50 on-prem locations. I'll probably share how we got there, and we today are in 4 multi-cloud providers. Very recently, we finished 1-year merger with IHS Markit, which took the company to different size from where we were to where we are today, and that got us to 37,000 employees. These employees have to work 24/7 to deliver that essential intelligence to commodity and capital markets to keep the intelligence moving. Think about somebody on the Australia and China and other countries. When they wake up, they need intelligence to make decisions on the capital markets and commodity markets. When the sun comes other side, the intelligence have to be still delivered. So the financial markets rely on the intelligence S&P produces day in, day out to make some strategic decisions and important decisions. And these employees are providing that. And they work on applications and platform, of which 70% of S&P Global platforms are today in cloud, which is a journey that we started back in 2017, and it's a never-ending journey. We just start at one point in time, we will finish, and then we will go to the next stage of our journey. But with the merger with IHS Market, it seems to be another couple of more years it will take for us to get to that 100%. So that's what we do at S&P Global. And in my role, I'm responsible for leading the global network for the combined company of S&P Global, which includes all the infrastructure that's behind this numbers is maintained by my team. The good part with my role is the ability to manage network and security together, so that my team has the ability to see the two-dimensional view and make right decisions when we pick tools and technologies and strategies and taking them to the right direction.
Right. Thank you for the introduction. Again, let's talk about your journey with the cloud and how you are doing it without Alkira. And let's talk a little bit about the complication of your environment and why you were looking for a solution in this space.
Trust me, Amir, I printed this picture and I put it in every desk in my office where network and security are sitting, just to remind them this is where we are today and how we need to get better, right? And I'm sure every enterprise in the room will recognize this is how everybody is today. And this is not something we got here with a plan. All of us would have got here both organically and inorganically. We all had on-prem. Every CIO came up with this cloud strategy. Then security started overlaying on top of it. Then COVID came. COVID started bringing in additional complexity in terms of perimeter and protecting your perimeter with greater security. Today at S&P Global, even though I said we have about 37,000 employees in 80 offices, we're talking about 37,000 offices pretty much, right? We're still in the hybrid working model. People work from home. We have the responsibility of protecting those many employees, their network, their perimeter, their access, their identity. So this is a reflection of today's true large enterprise, the complications that has been built inorganically over a period of time. And the point products that were introduced in the industry helped at that point in time. But over a point in time, you also can see it proliferated the network. The network has grown too fast. So some of the cause and effect, we just will keep it simple, accelerated cloud and SaaS adoption. We wanted to be in cloud. We wanted to take some of our services into SaaS. That came into the process. That proliferated the network. One of the fundamental challenges between on-prem and cloud is everybody who has worked in the on-prem world, you had this great internal, external perimeter DMZ architectures. One of the fun of going to the cloud is everything gets collapsed. It becomes flat. East-west is a free day. You don't need to pay toll. You don't need to send through the firewalls. So that inconsistency led to the architecture complexities, and shifting in our user experience and connectivity was the biggest challenge post-COVID. Back in days, you were able to build apps in the middle. You were able to build security around it, networking in the middle, and distribute everything, which worked in a way where everybody were in an office. You are in a true MPLS VPN network, and you have a well-defined SLA, well-defined commitments with the service providers. But with 37,000 people working in over 100 countries, there is no way you can distribute the application and security from a center to the edge. The only ways and means possible is building the application at the edge, and also building the network infrastructure at the edge, and more importantly, surrounding the infrastructure with the security to it, right? And these point products, as we started introducing in this key area, started complicating how we do networking today. And as cloud came in, today, the challenges that my team deals with is you have to go into AWS, do your configuration. You have to go into Azure, do your work. You have to go to GCP, do your work. And then if you talk about 50 providers that you use in the ecosystem, you have to have a specialized skill, talent, resource, time to do all of it. Over the past 5 years or so, all of us have talked about ability to abstract the infrastructure, abstract the networking. I think we are in the pivotal point where it's time to define how do you abstract and what technology do you use to abstract and what's the strategy for the abstraction. I think 2023 is that defining era moment of network abstraction, and Alkira is going to be the key role.
So let's talk about some of the use cases that you initially deployed with us, and what are the challenges that you were running into. And it seems like data lake with Google was the initial project that we started with. And it's interesting how you're distributing data across multiple cloud providers and how you brought it together using Alkira globally. right? So it would be really nice to hear in your words as to what was the problem that you were running into, and then we'll go into some of the other use cases like mergers and acquisitions,
Yep.
and partner onboarding and stuff like that. So let's start with the Data Lake project.
Oh wow! I can't believe how it started and how we got there. I think the merger got us there. S&P Global is a rich data company. The amount of data that we have over the 150 years is not something nobody has data, right? And today we distribute data through multiple channels, through API, through internet, through MPLS, and whatnot we do, right? But the challenge of handling this volume of data has always been that how do you curate this data? Every customer has a unique requirement, and our teams, these 37,000 people, have to constantly curate this data. And that's when Snowflake, Google Data Lake, all this data lake technology started coming in. And then our leadership team decided it's time to focus on data lake, create a proper data lake structure so that we have a very powerful ability to data in a much unique way. But think about it, right? With over 70% of our applications in cloud, 30% in somewhere on-prem, somewhere Azure, and all of it. If we end up doing Google, like how everybody did AWS today, we are ending up creating a spider web network, right? Our ultimate objective is things that we learn from AWS, things that we learn from on-prem, things that we learn from Azure. How do we make sure that we do things differently in Google? And that's how we started exploring. We are not going to go into the Google panel integration, but we are also going to make sure Google is going to be our new data lake platform. And how do we make sure the data that enters Google is also safe and both ways? We have to find a way to abstract the networking and security. We can make sure the data entering and coming out is both ways seamless and secure. That's how we brought Alkira. We got introduced. We did the initial proof of concept. It worked flawlessly and seamlessly. Today, we were able to put Alkira in the middle of the enterprise, where Google is on the south side, the rest of the enterprise is on the north side. But Alkira provides a true medium of communication between the larger S&P Global and the new Google Data Lake, and we were able to transfer data and do all the data lake work, and then bring it back to our customers and distribute through our platform. That power is so unique. And when we did that work, we bolted our security in a way where I'm sure all of us have operated stoves in our house with knobs, right? And think about if you're standing in front of a stove with 16 knobs, and I'm sure 9 out of 10 times we all would have struggled. Which knob is turned on? I'm sure some of you would have turned on wrong things, turned off wrong things. That's how the networking in the past used to be, right? You had to figure out which knob to turn on when things go wrong, right? But what we did with Alkira is we were able to define the knobs very clearly. Our teams know in the event of a cyber event, in the event of any ransomware, in the event of any incident, they precisely know which knob to turn on to basically segment the network and distribute the network. And that's the power Alkira brought in on the table. Our security team and our leadership team start. It's a right solution to do. And the speed at which that we onboarded Google is probably not something we have done before. Historically, onboarding a cloud would take at least 2 months to get started, to set up every connectivity, to bring in connectivity into your colo and physical wires and whatnot. But with Alkira, we were able to connect a Google with Amazon within 24 hours window. That's the biggest change that our business saw. Ability to onboard a new cloud within 24 hours into the rest of the network is not something they would have seen it coming, and then we made this happen. Something, it's a propelling journey for us.
Yeah, so it's amazing, right? I mean, when you bring together multiple different clouds and on-premise locations and create a common infrastructure across that by building an abstraction layer, how powerful that becomes to bring your environment together, not only from the connectivity perspective, but also from security perspective, because you can streamline it and you can control it better. Security is as good as if you're able to get your environment to be secure in a controlled manner. If you have too many places And like Guru is saying, if you have a spider web of connectivity, security even becomes a much bigger challenge. So we were so happy to help you guys out from that perspective. And let's talk a little bit about your other challenges, like your merger with IHS, and the challenges that you're running into that. And also, what is your long-term vision with Alkira, right? We'll talk about that as well, because every time I talk to Guru, even I get more excited based on what he wants to do with the Alkira platform longer term.
Yeah,
please.
I think we all, for the entire last 2 days and tomorrow, we're all talking about what is a new trend in networking. 5 years before, we all got fascinated about SD-WAN, and everybody wants to do SD-WAN, and then SASE is the new world. So there's always the new trend, right? I believe Alkira is a new trend, and the multi-cloud networking as a service is a new trend, right? I think it is very important that following the trend and where the industry is also going, right? It's a opportunity versus capability. They both have come together now. We always thought we wanted to get to this capability. We never saw something exist there. But I think 2023 brought that opportunity, capability together into do this. This is a big picture perspective of what we accomplished with Alkira today. Like I said, we are a multi-cloud enterprise. We have 4 cloud providers. I represented three big ones here. We have our largest application workloads in AWS. We have our all the Microsoft use cases in Azure. We talked about Google Cloud, right? But think about our on-prem, right? If you remember the first slide, we talked about 50 on-prem locations. Post-merger, we merged with a company almost of the same size as S&P. What merger of that scale brings is IP overlaps, right? And then we have SD-WAN solution, they have SD-WAN solution, we have a router, they have a router. And then it's just so complex, right? If you remember, mergers and acquisitions of the past has taken 5 to 8 years to bring the company together, connect the company, and start learning each other, start bringing the teams together, and start doing application optimization. Today, because we had Alkira onboarded during the Google's use case, and when the merger got completed, and the business teams came to us and said, "Hey, Guru, we have applications in the S&P side, we have applications on the other side of the company, which we just merged with. But we wanted to bring applications together. We want to bring platforms together. We want to go to the end customer and say, the merger has brought a value of a true unique data sets that we can deliver. How do we do this?" And there's IP overlap. I cannot tell them, give me 5 years to do this.
Yeah.
I cannot tell them, go re-IP address all your application so that you'll get here, which they are not ready for it. But how do you overcome that? That's how we brought this Alkira as an enterprise exchange between S&P Global and the IHS market. We laid that as a fabric in the middle. So any business unit, now today they have teams on both sides, they have infrastructures on both sides, but they can bring their infrastructure seamlessly on Alkira, and the platform handles the IP translations magically, and then it gives them the connectivity. Today, a big portion of our business, they were able to bring the data from one side of the company into the other side of the company through Alkira Fabric, and then they are able to distribute the data to the customers. Such a powerful end user customer story, right? It's not how we did networking. It is about how we translated networking into a real value that our customers are seeing, right? If you would have not had Alkira, if you would have done this to traditional way, then you're probably dealing with 2 large monolithic network and doing MAT and PAT, IP translations.
Can't even imagine.
Overly complicated, right? That we did. And then that's our M&A story. And the work is still not done. The work is still ongoing. The integration work under the merger is the evolving process as we make it. And then when we decided, yes, now 2 companies can talk. How do we bring on-prem into it? How do we make sure our SD-WAN branch officers can talk to Alkira? And we were able to onboard our existing SD-WAN solution as it is on Alkira without a need to change anything in our existing SD-WAN implementation. That's the power of the implementation, right? We were able to do all of that very seamlessly. Today, if you go into an Alkira panel, one thing I'm going to appreciate is the beauty of your UI.
Thank
right?
you. Yeah.
Ability to maneuver, and even You can bring a developer and explain what you're dealing with, right? You don't need a CLI. You need a beautiful UI to say that. So what we are doing from a work with Alkira is ability to achieve speed, security, the carrier neutrality. We don't want to be in the business of calling AT&Ts and Verizon's and Sprint's and say, pull a circuit into my cage, we will do all of it. Because we merged, we have inherited a lot of locations. We are transforming our colos. Typically, you all have this cloud exchange colos where you connect everything together. Our ultimate goal is transforming this colo to a virtual colo into the AWS ecosystem. Because one of the common challenges when you talk to application owners, they all talk about running application at scale, running database at scale, running app at a scale. But we always have challenged about how do you run network at cloud scale? Has there ever been a solution, network at cloud scale? But yeah, then we say we will go to AWS and we will do network at cloud scale. Okay, then comes a new challenge. Talk to us about network at multi-cloud scale. Right? I think ability to run Alkira CXPs inside AWS, Azure, and Google, and the availability that we are able to provide is as same as AWS availability. If AWS has published 99.99999, today when we spin up Alkira inside AWS, it's the same SLA. Only if AWS goes down, Alkira goes down, right? So it's a very complementary SLA that we were able to bring in on board so that we were able to achieve the availability and the speed at which that we were all able to onboard our users and customers. That's so powerful. One of the very unique use cases with Azure is, I'm sure you all know about OpenAI, ChatGPT, what's going on, right? Inside every enterprise, CIOs are focused on constructing the true OpenAI LLM use cases. And then I'm sure Azure is providing LLM services, Azure subscription, and AWS is coming up with the Databricks and whatnot. But how do you give that connectivity in a much more secure way? You don't want to play with a black box which you don't know what you're playing with, right? So we were able to use Alkira to basically spin up Microsoft Azure OpenAI services, still provide that exposure of the services to our users so that they can securely connect to the OpenAI services, still use only the prescriptive service and still deliver what they need to deliver from a perspective. So that's where the security comes into the key area, how we will define security at a layers, still deliver.
Appreciate the discussion on that and what you have accomplished with this. And and that's the power of when you bring together an environment in the cloud and you're able to scale it up and down at cloud scale, right? And networking has never been able to accomplish that. So let's say you will have firewalls and you want to scale them up and down based on your need, especially for the retail type companies where during the winter time, during the holiday season, the requirements go up and down, right? So we have struggled in the networking industry forever, bringing up services and bringing down services. And if you can do it automatically and you can optimize that and save money at the same time, it's just a beautiful infrastructure from that perspective, right? So yeah, so appreciate all your, so let's talk a little bit about how, other vendors or other solutions that you tried out. Obviously, you were a big DIY shop, and then you tested other solutions as well, which fall into different categories, like, and the colo providers and ZTN and orchestration companies, and over-the-top overlay solutions, right? And why Alkira from that perspective, right? Is it a carrier class capabilities of Alkira with complete redundancy and disaster recovery capabilities? What else did you look at from that perspective? And also touch base on the cost perspective as well.
Yeah. So I'll lead into the previous question about where we are heading into the future, right? When you have this spiral network, which is overly complicated, both grown organically and inorganically, right? Ability to commit to an SLA for a prod environment, for a QA environment, or for a development environment is not easy, right? One of the work that we did with your team is shaping that strategy to basically define the network by gold class, silver class, and bronze class. So which means take all the production infrastructure to the gold class and take all the non-prod and the QA environment to the bronze and dev environment to the silver class, right? And what I meant by this class of service is you can define the SLA for a class of service. You can define the level of security and scrutiny you need to provide for each class of service. And then also you can define the speed of onboarding and the response time for each of the classes of service. So we had that vision and strategy for a while. And we explored options with various partners and various providers to see, hey, listen, our business do not want any downtime in a platform that is customer facing. But when I put them alongside in a horizontal network with the dev environment, somebody replaces the router here, somebody replaces the firewall, somebody patches the server, and I take a hit. Right. So how do I make sure I differentiate this environment? That's the biggest challenging question we had from the CTOs. Then we started exploring solutions in that direction. And then that's when Alkira came in handy and said, hey, we have an ability to define the network by gold from silver. And then you can take all your prod and go to the gold class and provide 99.4 of service that you need. And because we can build so many CXPs, so many redundant CXPs, and connect them how many ways and means you want, so that you can have the redundancy built at the cloud scale. So we are towards that journey, and we are actively working with all of our business to make sure to that. Second is network segmentation. Think about our network segmentations of past and today, right? You always have to punch firewall rules, always have to find some appliance-based network segmentation solutions to achieve segmentation. And when you have a real problem, like I said about the stove knobs, you don't know where to turn or what, but the bad actor can still crawl through the network and get where they want. And we had that clear vision of how to create the network segmentation at the network layer. And the focus was to not use appliance, focus was to not use agents, focus was to make sure if we are a multi-cloud shop, and if 70% of the applications in the cloud, we should have an ability to leverage our strategy of gold, bronze, silver, but also apply segmentation within the principle without deviating from the strategy. And that's where we were very conscious about not chasing point products to do different things, rather have one unified strategy, and the strategy paints the overall picture, and then segmentation gets in there. That's how we got there.
That's great. And that also allows you to build the partner use cases for onboarding partners and selectively sharing resources, etc.
Oh yeah, we are in the financial services market. We distribute data a lot, and we have several ways of distributing. We have over 1,000 customers through which we distribute still data through the physical layers. One of the key objectives is how do we keep our partners' data distribution at an arm's length network instead of connecting them to my code and then exposing my core and my perimeter. So we're going to eventually transform our partner net infrastructure by having partner net Alkira exchange built in, where all our customers can come on board. Think like a Snowflake experience, right? Snowflake can provide your service. Any customers can come on board, exchange data with the Snowflake platform, and think about networking becoming that new Snowflake, and Alkira being that powering the wheels of the Snowflake. It's going to be a big story.
We're going to have to wrap this up. You guys did great, but we're over by about 10 minutes. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, no pressure.
So yeah. So just to summarize, I mean, if you're looking for a carrier class, enterprise class infrastructure built in the cloud for multiple clouds, as well as from on-premise and remote user, everything, done in a common manner, and having full control from the routing perspective, this is truly carrier class routed infrastructure, which is truly redundant. And it solves many, many different use cases for you. And then we bring seamlessly the best of breed security, best of breed services like IPAM services, etc., into our solution, so that it brings all of your environments together. Today you have islands and isolated environments. This is the only truly universal solution that brings all of your environments together. So you can bring in MPLS, you can bring in high-speed connectivity from your cloud providers through Direct Connect or Express Route or SD-WAN clouds, right? And regionally connect them and use cloud backbone as a service over multiple cloud providers. So it's literally, you can bring up a truly world-class global infrastructure in less than an hour or so, and then you do a few days of testing and you're up and running. still requires networking knowledge. You are the experts. You use that tool, but it makes your life much, much easier compared to where you are today. And it gives you much more power. So thank you so much, Guru. And we would love to continue to bring more customers like this. We are excited about working with them, and we want to continue this on this journey of truly transforming the networking industry from a physical infrastructure with partial virtualization to end-to-end virtualization based on cloud-like infrastructure, right? And that is the true transformation of the networking industry. That's what we're looking for. So thank you so much for listening to us. I can't be more excited to be a part of this, organization.
Thank you so much, Amit.
Thanks.